there was a young boy that was his first time away from home, and he was so homesick. I was working with the Presbyterian church that night, and he said, "Oh, I'm so homesick," and he was so scared, and he was crying, and he said, "I need a cigarette." And our minister's wife was Levita Gold, and a lot of you wouldn't remember that there was a Top Hat right across the street, which none of us ever went in unless we were imbibing and all those things. But she said, "I'll run over and get you cigarettes, and if I get back in time, I'll give them to you, and if I don't, you'll know I meant to." So she made it. So we were real proud of her that our minister's wife would do that for one of the boys.
Oh, I was happy. Well, sad too, because you didn't know where these young fellows were headed for. You know, you didn't know which Pacific, Atlantic, where in the world they were going. So it made you feel good, though, to know that you had done something good for them.
Well, my sister worked down here. She's a few years older than I am, and she worked off and on, and the young girls always, you know, thought the boys were special. So they wanted to do something, and they weren't allowed to give them their names or put them in the sandwiches or anything, but they used to put magazines down here. And they didn't care what they did with the magazines. So she put her name and address in a magazine, and they passed them out, and this fella, there were four boys, and they got a magazine with her name in it. Well, the other three, one of them was married and two of them had girlfriends, but this one fella didn't. So they said he could have the name, so he started to write to her, and they wrote back and forth, and she joined the Waves, and they wrote all during the war. He finally called her up and wanted to know if he could come to see her, and she said yes. So I think it must have been May. I know it was warm weather. He came over to see her, and they went down to the jewelry store, and he bought her a diamond.
It was such an experience. It was such a great experience that every canteen lady that I have talked to will tell you the same thing, that it was so remarkable, and the emotions have just lasted 50 years. There's no other way. What can we say?
Now, 50 years later, most of the obvious signs of the greatest mobilization in this country's history have disappeared. But the evidence of the tremendous effort put forth by this small community in East Central Ohio is preserved in the memories of its residents, and here at the Restored Depot and Railroad Museum. What did the Salvation Army Canteen mean to the war effort? We'll take a warm smile, a hot cup of coffee, and a friendly word of encouragement, and multiply that by more than 1 million. The answer might be measured by the reputation earned by this water stop in Ohio, more commonly known as Dreamsville.